countdown.
Wow.
3, 2, 1. Action.
Woo!
We are live. Welcome, everybody.
Hi,
And
everyone.
welcome, Krista and Peggy.
Welcome.
Yeah, we're going to have a really fun time today. I'm sure a lot of you are just strolling in from an afternoon meeting. So we'll take a couple minutes at the beginning for folks to get situated before we kick off with our two amazing guests today. And if this is your first ever Rally AMA or event, it's going to be really fun. It's actually the first time we're ever doing it with two people at once, with Christa and Peggy. So you get 2 for 1. And yeah, it's going to be extra fun, extra special, extra interesting. And yeah, I guess just maybe to kick us off, Christa and Peggy, tell us a little bit about where you are right now, your background. You're in the same room. What's going on here?
Yeah, we're actually together, not remote, which is fun. We're in our New York City hub, Figma's New York City hub, which is very colorful and vibrant, as you probably all could imagine. Our background being an example here.
Chose a rally-themed background.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, we love it. Yeah, it's great that you two are able to join from the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
That is rare. Yeah, tell us a little bit about the Figma office. I know I've been there, but I feel like it is a quintessential, like, what you would
expect. Are 10 out of 10 here. It's incredible. You got Cheez-Its, you even have like protein drinks, which is clutch when you're running around for meetings. My favorite thing is the pop shot, though. It's pretty sweet.
The pop shot, like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Free lunch.
Free food too. Yeah.
Can't complain.
But the energy sounds cliche, but it is very vibrant in our New York office. It's always filled, and so it's really fun to make it out this way.
That's awesome. Great. Well, very excited for today. So for those that have not yet joined a Rally AMA, or those that haven't been here in a while, typically how this goes is we'll start off the first usually 30-45 minutes with a pre-prepared discussion guide, a couple topics that we're going to be running through on how Figma is thinking about scaling research with AI, the hot fun topic of the day. But we will definitely save some good time at the end and even potentially throughout for audience questions. After all, it is an AMA, so please do pop any question in the chat at any point in time. And if you like what you see, you can also thumbs up questions and upvote them. And we'll make sure to leave enough time for Christa and Peggy to respond and to share their amazing insights live. All right, Christa and Peggy, are you ready to get started?
Let's go for it.
All right. Well, I thought for the very beginning, for those who haven't met anyone or haven't met us yet, we can start with maybe the origin story of how we all met and got started working together. Because yeah, just a quick background on myself. My name is Oren, one of the co-founders and CEO here at Rally. We've been building the research CRM that you all know and love for the last 4.5 years now. And been really excited to partner with companies like Figma to enable larger and larger teams to democratize and self-serve access to research across the organization. And the first 2 people I ever met at Figma, the Figma research team, were Christa and Peggy here. I've since got to meet many more lovely Figmates, I believe it's called.
Yeah, nailed it.
I'm wrong.
One of us.
But yeah, Christa, if you want to share our origin story, how did we meet?
Well, it was super random. Hi, everyone. Very excited to see where everyone's calling in from. It's always very surprising to just see the sheer breadth of folks coming from into this call. But yeah, I met Oren at a user testing conference. I had a booth that was a bit in the corner where no one can really see. I was filling in for somebody, but I really just wanted to engage more with our customers as one does. So I thought this would be a great opportunity. Oren came over to my little corner and we got to talking, and I got a live demo right then and there from Oren of Rally, and was just blown away by the ease of use just right off the bat, and cleanliness of the tool. And those are, as researchers who care deeply about craft, that was really evident right from the beginning, and was excited to continue the conversation from Austin from that conference.
Yeah, I definitely cornered you there in that booth for quite some time, but that was great. And then Peggy, I believe we met for the first time. I was thinking about it at a Blue Bottle in New York at a coffee shop, where I think I did the same watching through.
Right.
Yeah. And Christa was already slacking me, so we use Slack. So she was like, "Hey, you got to see the demo." So, I was really glad that I was able to see in person. So yeah, I saw the whole demo at Blue Bottle.
Awesome. Well, loved meeting you both, and been a fun adventure and journey ever since. But let's maybe take a step back and hear a little bit more about what does your team at Figma do? What does research at Figma do?
Yeah, so all sorts of things. So I lead our growth and monetization, collaboration tools, and our rapid research functions at Figma. So really responsible quite horizontally for our entire product and our business side too. So connecting with all different types of customers, from our admins to designers to PMs, to developers. So really important to make sure we're hearing the right voice from all the right customers in my area of work. And then Peggy is on our insights, our AI insights pillar. So I think most research companies or organizations will have a research ops function. We've actually been so bullish on using AI that we have a team dedicated to enabling our researchers to using AI and AI tooling. And so that's where Peggy sits and helps all of us researchers in our day-to-day go so much faster and more seamless.
So I am the AI Insights Program Manager, but I like to introduce myself as the AI Product Builder within Figma Research Team. But I build and design the AI tools that, allows researchers and even product builders to transform the way they work. And I find that work to be very exciting. So very happy to be here.
Amazing. Well, yeah, I love how you've framed it. I think Figma and your team in particular is pioneering this model of building products for research teams and
beyond.
And beyond to leverage. So maybe if you can share a little bit about what the world looked like before the AI Insights team was created. How was that like?
Yeah, gosh, I don't love thinking about that world before. Previously, before I was a manager as an IC, and I was notorious for not logging my insights and documenting all the findings in the right channels and the right folders for people to find. And so I like to think I was just ahead of the curve of just like hoping for a better world where I didn't have to do that. But the short answer really is like, a lot of it was in our heads. So for the researchers who had been at Figma longer, all the context, we'd get pulled into so many different conversations, and it would actually take away from a lot of the work we were trying to achieve on the new types of product research we were doing. It lived in FigJam files that were really hard to find, hard to even search within. And a lot of net new research would get asked or completed even when we had insights to already share. But it was just really hard to pull on what we already knew. I have like 3 different docs that still circulate a little bit at Figma that are like Christa's lore of just like the previous learnings or what we knew about certain experiences in Figma or product surface areas. And those are now dwindling thanks to the different tooling and AI that Peggy has set up. So it's been pretty game changing on that front for sure. A lot less time being a librarian, you know?
Totally. Yeah, the age-old question of what do we know about X?
Yeah.
Like so many research teams. So yeah, it might be helpful then, Peggy, from your side, to hear a little bit more about how you even started building within this team. You know, how do you tackle such a big problem at such a fast-growing organization? Talk us through that for probably many companies out there that are just getting started and just starting to think about this.
Of course. So, all the pain points that Christa mentioned, we really feel it. I'm sure like a lot of companies out there are kind of dealing with similar stuff. Before we even jump to like the actual skill building, like we hear a lot about like agent building. We spend a lot of time thinking about the infrastructure to make that happen, because we don't want to have just one team. For example, I'm part of the AI Insights team. The goal is not to just have my team build the entire thing. We want to empower researchers, and I would say it's a culture at Figma.
Yeah.
We want to empower all the Figmates to build their own tool, but in order to get there, we need to set up the infrastructure for that. So, looking at the current state of where we are right now, we're in the process of setting up, like we call it Design and Research OS, where researchers, designers, they can publish their skills, all the agents they created into this repository, and other people can pull it down and use it and install it on their machine. So this is like, I would say, a very fundamental step to get there.
Yeah, I think also like, there's different parts of the research funnel. And I think Peggy and the AI Insights team did a great job of really understanding where to tackle first. And given the tooling space that was available, there weren't many AI moderated tools quite yet. And so really just starting from kind of the end of the research, like so from deliverable readout to storage of that information. And so that's where we started using Hey Marvin, and that's been game changing. And I'd say that was probably the starting point of how our team, and then quickly thereafter, the entire product team started using previous insights, quickly being able to summarize and get those summaries post calls like immediately out. And that was like a really easy way, I think, to get other researchers on board as well, because I think that's probably the least fun part, is kind of the maintenance of that work. And so that was like really, really critical to then like just jumping straight ahead. Like once we had all the context, I think context is king or queen here, and making sure that context was all in one place, then the amount that we're able to do to like run off of that. We have like a awesome Slack integration where anybody can just ask any question and it pulls from all of our data that we have from research. So things like that, but that was like a definite, I would recommend, starting point for most research teams to do.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So as you think of the AI Insights function at Figma, what would you say the mandate is? What is the big strategic goal of this team? How would you know that it is successful when you look back 12 months from now?
Well, I'll be as provocative of our VP of research would say, and it's to replace all of our jobs. So that is the mandate. We say that with a big smile, but it really is to just push all of our thinking and to really just like fundamentally change how we think about research. And there's still a lot of areas where research is super important in terms of like our judgment and what questions to actually ask. But like the actual turnaround of our work to impact the business at such scale is like game changing to the impact of research at Figma. So it's not so much of like, do more, but doing the right things at the right time is the mandate. So yeah.
I would say like we really wanted to leverage AI to automate like the tasks that are not really like research thinking related, because I think that is the golden kind of task, right? Like where like researchers are really passionate about, and we want to give them like have them focus on that and have other time saved by
Yeah.
AI. Like all the repetitive, like mundane tasks, like we want to make sure we have an automated end-to-end research workflow so they're able to focus on those things that matters, like product recommendations and research thinking.
It's also interesting. I had this conversation with my pod a couple months ago of just the shift of where the time gets spent. Like I hate to see companies pushing for just faster turnaround regardless. Like for sure we need to move at the rate of the business, and I like to say like decision tempo needs to be on point, but like the shift of actual synthesis like takes a little bit more time, but like the recruiting, the scheduling, all of that now, especially with Rally, is like easy peasy. And we have a huge robust panel to tap into, which we're very happy about. But it's the synthesis, it's making sure that the AI is synthesizing the right moments, and we have us building skills to be able to do that. That takes some time to set up. So making sure we're cognizant of that as well.
Yeah, I love the response from your VP on each of your jobs is to figure out how to get yourself out of a job. But then obviously the natural next question is, so what's left for the human, and where do you think people should be spending their time? And has your thinking evolved on this as well? Obviously things are changing so fast. But yeah, I guess the question is, what is the unique value of a researcher today?
It's funny because I've always said this. I think another maybe provocation here is that I think the job of a researcher is like 80% relationship building. And I don't think that changes or gets replaced by AI. The amount of conversations I'm constantly in where collaboration is the constraint now, even more so, that is, the researchers are squarely ready to like jump in and help, because we are also seeing at a horizontal view a lot of the times, like, being able to triangulate across different teams, different sources. And so I think we have that advantage to continue to push on and help teams in this space where everything is moving so fast, to really set the tone of when two people or two products or two teams are maybe at a disagreement, how do we help help make that more clear? And I think research is like very able to do that well.
I would say like from the building perspective, for researchers who are actually using and building stuff with AI, because AI is going to handle all of like the logistic stuff. I think now researchers have more time, and they're happy to spend more time on distilling their methodology, their thinking. How do they lay the foundation so that the AI output can be trusted? Right. And building that trust, because it's cool to see a demo presented using like AI tools, but when you're communicating, collaborating with stakeholders, how can we build that trust with the stakeholder? And if you're able to articulate and show that all of your methodology, your expertise as a researcher is embedded in those like AI tools that you are building, that just increase the velocity, but at the same time build so much trust.
Yeah, I think that AI doesn't replace research judgment, it raises the bar on it.
Yeah, I love that. I hadn't heard that phrasing of collaboration being the constraint, but it makes so much sense as teams are trying to move really fast today, and the demand for insights is only going up, and roles are blending into each other's domains more and more. Maybe talk us.
What a time! What a time, y'all!
What a time!
Let's just have a moment for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and let's dig into that even more. Tell us what's going on within product at Figma, and how is that evolving? How teams are building, and therefore the role of research in this new world.
Can you
Yes.
explain a little bit? Do you
So-
mean the Figma product or the products
Product
that we
team.
build internally?
Good question. So the question I was asking was more centered around how the Figma product and design teams are building, and therefore what the demand for research and insights is looking like as their speed is increasing, as their velocity is increasing. What does that mean for research and researchers need to show up in that new way of building product?
I think on like a more tactical level, something I've seen a big shift on is like, again, because, we're all moving so quickly, like seeing and watching research sessions has been harder and harder naturally, I think, for product teams to do. But having like the ability to quickly snippet different videos and different recordings and the immediate summaries to come out of it, I'd say has like helped teams maintain that connection with customers a lot in this shift. Also with like within our product teams, we are self-serve to some degree. Like we're self-serve of like insights and knowledge, and we do have some teams obviously running their own research and in that way. But it's a lot of what we push is like self-serving the insights we already have. So like I mentioned this amazing Slack channel that Stevie on our team put together where people can reference anything, ask any question for that's already been dug into through different customer combos. We might not even had synthesized it before, and it might be able to pull on that. Any other like tooling?
Yeah. So we're also seeing a shift in the questions that the designers, the product managers, like all the stakeholders are asking. Before all the AI workflows, before what our team has created, people are asking, where do I find a report like related to a topic I care about on the project I'm working on? Now people are asking, okay, I see a couple of reports related to this product area I'm working on. What is the most important insights, surface from that? So that kind of raised the bar, kind of, the starting point of the question for having more meaningful discussions.
Yeah. So much gets unlocked when you start opening up these doors and access to other teams. What's been maybe the most surprising thing for you so far during this shift?
I can start.
Yeah.
So I think one thing that really surprised me as a product builder internally is that initially I thought, we're going to have all these AI capabilities. It's going to be so good. Like we're going to, just like save so much time and just like maybe we just don't have anything else left to do. But what surprised me is like there's so much still left to do. And it goes back to the point of, the collaboration. So back to your previous question, about, product managers, designers, how it's shifting for them. One thing we notice is like, it's not just research team that is empowering researchers to like build their own tool. All the other teams are doing the same. So we see designers, engineers, like, people on support team, product managers, they're building their own tool. I think that created a thread for collaboration. So we might build something that can be really related to research, but sometimes we just build something that's good for productivity, good for stakeholder management, and we're able to collaborate better on that.
Love it. Awesome. Well, I'm also starting to catch up on some of the questions in the chat, and they're already on fire. So
Nice.
A lot of relevant ones. Let's start asking some of these. So one question here from Asha. The big question on people's mind right now, as you are automating more, what do you find yourself spending more time on at the time that you get back?
I'm curious from yours. I have like a product perspective, but curious yours.
Yeah, I think there are two things. One thing we already mentioned, it's like, okay, you get all this time back, you're able to really think through the research methodology, distilling the thinking, etc. And so the second thing I would say is like, I'm spending more time, and I find people building AI tools are spending more time on the quality of the outputs, like how, going back to building trust. It's cool to see AI can generate pretty good summary, right? But how can I trust this? So we're seeing folks are exploring with different eval methods for internal tools. So for example, for one of the AI agents I'm building, I am also in the process of building a traceability dashboard that gives you all of the decision points that the AI made. So that way you're able to see, okay, like if a stakeholder see this response and they ask me, okay, how does AI come up with this result? I can share them the link to the dashboard and they're able to trace back to from their query all the way back to every decision that AI made. And if there's any more feedback that they have on, oh, AI shouldn't make this decision here, like they should consider this or that, I'm able to integrate that feedback directly within the model, within the AI tools that I built. So that way we're amping up the quality of it. So short answer is, how do we ensure the quality? How do we measure the quality is another big part of what I'm considering.
It's so important. Even down to like, I remember we shipped something early of like being able to, pull from our insights and everyone's like, where's the sources? Yeah. So then spending the extra time to like make sure that was capable was a really big unlock. I think from a straight up researcher perspective, having more time to do the synthesis, but also the sharing out of what we learned. I think a lot of times we're moving so fast as researchers and again, with the decision tempo, but it's so important to make sure what we just spent all of our time on at researching lands with the right people. And that does take time. And so really kind of refocusing our time there has been really huge to make sure we're like making actual changes to our product and to our business decisions.
Yeah. It's so great hearing this because no matter how much is changing around us, these like fundamental pieces of research are still so true. Trust, trust becomes the most important thing. And if insights are sitting on a shelf and not being used, then what's the point of it anyways? Yeah. And so we're still kind of reckoning with the same. Same.
I think the other thing too, Oren, is like, back to your kind of blurring roles. We've always been obviously a design heavy company. And so a lot of our researchers have always, instead of just like giving their recommendations in a written word, we actually visualize them for teams. And so that's also gotten much faster by way of using Make to like actually articulate in a true prototype way what our recommendations are. And that helps speed up design and what we build because we're not, just giving a bunch of how might we's, and then that adds time of the teams to then workshop and think through. We're being very pointed, and that has saved our product teams a lot of time.
Yeah, I love that. Do you have any specific recent examples that come to mind of that you're able to share?
That we can share. Neha on our team, she's just like a rock star when it comes to designing these things and Make. So a lot of our agent work that we just shipped, Neha and Nanural would spin up some Make prototypes to get the teams moving on those directions. So yeah, just launched that last week.
Very cool. Yeah, that was awesome to see the launch, and I haven't had a chance to use it yet, but I'm really excited to play around with it as well.
You gotta use it. Now that we're part of the AMA.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, staying on the topic of specifics, I think it's always really helpful for our audience to hear some more examples and real life stories, and maybe Peggy from your side. What are you building? What are you working on?
Building on quite a few things, but I see a question in there also asking what are some of the specific custom skills that our team has been building. Yeah. So I'll highlight two things. One thing was created by Stevie, who I believe is in the audience. So Stevie is our amazing reops manager. She built an agent internally for people to ask questions about anything reops related. So it can be, how much are we paying for, the participants for an interview? Or it can be, what is the process of getting started with a self-serve research, etc. And she has an agent that is actively being used by Figmates internally, and people can just go to the agent for that. So that's the first example.
Can I just, sorry, when I think back to even just like 6 months to a year ago, it was like, okay, I think this is really hitting off, self-serve. We've got to like make sure people are trained and create all the files. And like the fact that we're able to use AI to help scale at that level is just like so big. And so having those skills to be literal skills to be able to make that happen has been huge. What other skills?
Another thing I just worked on, actually created last week, was for a high velocity research project. So just think of a research project that's doing like recurring kind of high volume survey data. So the researcher was dealing with so much data. And before AI workflows, what the researcher would do is that they would take all of those survey data, right? They will probably put it in a spreadsheet. They will have formulas that analyze and think of all of the metrics that needs to be presented to stakeholders, to communicate to leadership. So what I did is to, based on his whole methodology and the calculation, that thinking that goes into it, I helped him build a report skill that automate all of the calculation that's embedded in this. So the process now looks like, okay, we can get, let's say, 4 runs of survey data a week now, right? That's like very high volume. What he can do is literally just upload that data onto this AI platform that I built, and all of the results will be auto-calculated and populated in a dashboard that can be just shared out internally directly. So that's something I worked on, and it's so cool to see how that can just save so much time for the researcher. And he is now focusing on, okay, like how can we communicate and collaborate with product team based on all this data that's made available for us in a very short period of time. So it's a very cool use case.
Amazing. Yeah, sounds like a dream come true for researchers to have you building these solutions for them. So that's awesome. Well, it reminds me of another question that someone asked, which is very relevant to this topic, on how, when you can build anything and everything, how are you firstly deciding what to build and then measuring the value of what you're building?
I think there's a couple of questions embedded in this question, and I'm going to hit all of them. So actually, the first point that you brought up, Oren, about how do you know what you want to build? I think that is why we need humans in the loop. This is the kind of thinking that, I'm not going to just let AI decide what I'm going to build. I'm going to go into using AI with a vision in mind. It can be a pain point you want to solve. It can be, let's say, a future state you want to reach, and you can leverage AI to maybe help you brainstorm, come up with a plan. But if you can come with what 100% looks like in your mind, that really helps. Because one of the traps I fell into before when I started using AI heavily was that, because AI it's so easy to use AI, right? Like you ask a question and it will give you a solution. But it is so easy to think 80% is the finish line when 100% is even better, and it's going to get you to build a tool that people actually use.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so I think a lot of us resonate with this statement because it is so cool to demo something that looks great already, like 80%. But in order for you to get from 80% to 100%, is that thinking before you even start using AI of the vision. Do you have a vision in mind? So, I think having this kind of mindset helps you figure out what it is that you really wanted to build. And the second question about quantifying, how do you measure impact? I have 2 thoughts on that. So I'll try to keep it short because I'm just like so excited about this topic. So when it comes to building AI tools, we're talking about internal tools. There may be different frameworks for building external AI tools. For building internal AI tools, there are a couple of layers I'm thinking of. One is the data layer. So before the data gets to AI model, especially if you're dealing with a project that has like a large volume of data, how good is the quality of the data that goes into the data model that's going to be analyzed and processed? Because it's going to be as good as the data you provided,
Yeah.
So that's one thing. So there's a different like quality checks you can do to make sure the quality of a data layer is good before it's even processed by AI. And I would say the second way to kind of measure and quantify it is what we call it user-based eval. So let's say I build a report skill for the researcher. The most helpful way for me to see the impact of a skill is to see the researcher use it directly. So I would set up a call with the researcher and be like, hey, like, let me walk you through how you can use the skill. Can you run the skill with your workflow and show me like on the screen how you're doing it? Because then the researcher will tell me, oh, actually, I'm missing, this is missing this context. Or actually, oh, maybe there's a logic that can be changed. So this is where I know, okay, like the quality is not there yet, but as long as we can pull those data in, it can, get to where we want to be. And last but not least is the traceability that I mentioned. So in order for us to maintain like a really good quality, there has to be a way for you to answer questions like, how can I trust this AI result? And there are different kind of traceability methods out there. But I would say like that has been like one of the most important lessons I've learned that helps with that. Hope that's helpful.
Peggy's our internal researcher and she doesn't even really realize it. It's very similar, right? To like how we measure success of a product. It's just our own internal tooling.
Yeah. The meta-ness of building research tools for researchers and having to do research on it as you go. Very, very cool. Wonderful. All right. Well, we can keep going with these questions because they keep scrolling in.
I love it.
Another one here, maybe also for you, Peggy. Are you doing more building of your own tools internally, or building on top of other tools? Maybe talk a little bit about the strategy here, build versus buy, all that fun stuff.
That's a really, really good question. I think one point we talked about earlier in this conversation, we talk about we're using Haymarvin for data repository. We're using Rally, right, for recruiting, for research CRM. So when it comes to evaluating like a vendor, we think of if there's a key workflow that's like a huge hole in the research workflow, let's say repository, right? That was like a big pain point we're trying to solve, or recruiting. Like it doesn't make sense for us to just reach out individually to all of the participants and manage it there. We will consider like vendors. And when we evaluate vendors, it is very important for us to ensure the vendors that we select eventually can provide us the capability to connect to the different data sources we need to reach that vision that we have for the research team, 12 months from now, because we want like a fully automated AI-powered workflow. If a tool or vendor is not able to, provide us that access, then we'll probably just hesitate and think, okay, what are the paths there? But I think for when it comes to building stuff, I would say, so quick answer to that question. We're doing both. So we're building our own tools as well as the kind
like
of
hub and spoke.
Exactly. So when it comes to building our own tools, it's really helpful when we're using different vendors, different data repository. We have research reports and different documents. We have data sources like from all over the place in our data warehouse. Then it's a really good use case to build our internal tools so we can bring in all of those data sources into a hub. And we have like the freedom to design how we want this, agent / interface / workflow to be so that it can better collaborate. We can better collaborate with stakeholders, present to leadership to make sure, we're getting the product recommendations to the right people at the right time.
Wonderful. Yeah. Anything to add there, Christa?
No, I think, we encourage at Figma to tinker. So there's always something brewing, I feel like, of building our own. I'll kind of leave it at that. Yeah.
No, I love it. Awesome. Well, on the topic of building with partners, would love to hear as you all know, the Rally MCP recently came out, and there's a lot more coming when you think of the agent experience from Rally itself. So what are you most excited about with the future of Rally, the future of recruitment? Where do you think this whole space is going?
Another question for me.
Well, yeah, you can start.
Yes, we recently got access to Rally MCP, I think beta, right? Beta access. And I know several of our researchers are really excited and they're actually using it. So I can share like a really cool use case and then kind of talk about where we see the future of using Rally MCP. So shout out to Neha again, our brilliant researcher. So not my work, it's her work. But she recently created like cloud code skill that handles the loop for interview sessions. So normally when a study is in action, right before an interview, the researcher will send out a Slack message to the project team channel where all the stakeholders are and be like, okay, this is who we're interviewing in the next 30 minutes. And their company size, maybe their roles, and here are some of the kind of metadata. So to give everyone a sense of who we're interviewing next, and with a link to Observer Room. As you can imagine, now we can do all of that with Rally MCP. So she created a skill that connects to Slack, so it can send a message automatically for her, connects to Rally MCP, pull out all the properties, pull out the screener responses that are important to surface, and send it out to the channel. And that Slack thread is used for discussion for stakeholders to jump in at nodes as they're in the Observer Room, like seeing the interviews happening. And then after that, after all of the interviews, the researcher will also send a summary, kind of summarizing, synthesizing all of the kind of observations and important insights to surface to stakeholders like before like the full report is out, right? And then she also leveraged Rally MCP for that to get the recording links, to get the metadata, and also pull the Slack thread with all the discussions, and then sprinkle in also her own structured like insights that she wanted to surface, in this case Neha, to the stakeholders. So it was really cool. And what's even cooler is she's not working in silos now. So she created skill, and because we have the infrastructure set up for the Design Research OS, she was able to push that to GitHub and then share with all the other researchers. So any researcher on our team can pull it down, install it on their machine, and use it in their current or next research project.
I mean, I went on sabbatical in March, which is 4 weeks. I came back and the entire research team was coding. It was just the most wild experience ever. But when you think about how Peggy laid out that workflow that Neha created, right? It's like, that's so much admin work right before a session, right before it's like her focus time. So to be able to alleviate that is huge, like huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a good use case. And ironically, it is the same first use case that I thought of and used internally.
I remember us talking about that very early on. Like, this is the worst thing to have to do for, we're talking like 10 sessions a week for some individual researchers. And so, love it, Lauren.
I will also add, like, the future of how we're seeing the future of using Rally MCP. One thing we're really excited to explore, and it's like one investment area that I will be focusing on, is how to solve the pain point for recruiting, because that has been really painful for us, because we have a huge panel in Rally, but because we have some other like customer information, like in data warehouse, sometimes when researchers really want to recruit for like a niche population, a niche audience, like all of the filters in Rally are not like enough, maybe because of the kind of like data we're allowed to sync to Rally, but if with the Rally MCP's capability to write to a study, to create like a panel and add to a study, that's something I'm going to be focusing on next, so that we're able to join the different data from different places and create a study directly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Reading and writing. Yeah. I don't know.
Reading and writing from everything to everything.
All the access.
Yeah, all the access, all the tools talk to each other now. There's
Yeah.
no more separation. It's a magical time. Awesome. Well, thank you both for that. Really cool to hear some of the awesome things you're building and where we're going. Excited to keep it going. All right. Well, we have a couple more questions. I'm going to add one to the stream now. We're at the 15-minute mark, so if people have more questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. I'm sure we'll be able to get to them. All right. Maybe this one for you, Christa. How do you balance embedded insights into where people work versus conducting formal shareouts or presentation? The former ensures they get used, but sometimes taking the time to walk through the actual insights is what lands well and truly resonates. So I'd love to hear some of your thoughts here.
Yeah, so a couple things. So the core researcher will always loop in the entire core team that they're working on throughout the entire research. There's like midpoint debriefs that they'll have, which are very informal, post-round debriefs, which are also informal. It's more of like, okay, let's just like throw all of what we're hearing all together and start kind of noodling on the actual recommendations. And we share our recommendations obviously throughout like conception of them. I think the I've been a part of a lot of different ways of sharing research insights and recommendations. And for a lot of like the earlier part of my career, it was a lot of just really focusing with the core team. They're the ones who are going to be building it. But it kind of goes back to this like collaboration constraint, right? Where we still have to get some approval and there's still tops down understanding and visibility into all of the team's work. And so if we're not sharing those insights and recommendations with our most executive folks at Figma, then that's really hard to still get buy-in around what should be built. And it gives their executives like the bird's eye view that they need across all of the work that's happening, and that's happening so fast. So I think that's really important. And I again, going back to kind of my earlier days of like a lot of the research, it would land and get some push from the team, but you sometimes just need to have that fully baked readout with a deck and that really like makes your research shine. Like everybody should be listening in on your readouts. And at Figma, we do quite a process of ensuring which questions we're actually answering. So the questions that every single researcher is answering at Figma is of the highest priority of the business. So that means that then the business needs to understand what we're recommending. So I just constantly like to push of like, it's important. It is really important to make sure you have the right people in the room to make sure that your research is heard.
Yeah, it is so important. To your point, it's probably the most important part of the whole process. So yeah, tell us a little bit more. You've been at Figma for 6 years now. I just double checked the LinkedIn to make sure.
You're aging me.
Longer than Riley's been around. So that's really spectacular. So yeah, you must have seen incredible growth. So much change there at the company. What has it been like seeing research evolve specifically and seeing more and more people understand the value of research over time?
It's a great question.
I
feel like I've lived 9 lives at Figma in the best way, but also just like the gratitude I have to experiencing that growth goes really far. And when I joined Figma, we were one product design editor tool. We were one office. And so when my very first readouts were creating slides in Figma design, and it was like my crash course to learning how to use Figma. And then when we launched FigJam soon thereafter, it was like, oh, this is the non-designer tool. We're all putting our research in FigJam. And that's where I started to see the impact of our research start to kind of diminish a little bit, because FigJam is a wonderful tool, but it's very ephemeral. It's very collaborative. It doesn't feel like it should be something so serious as a lot of our research recommendations have, right? And so we shifted then into slides, which is also a tool I got to work on, which was fun. But so now all of our research majority lives in Figma slides. And I think taking that step to like put the extra effort in to really honing in on the narrative has gone so far in terms of our impact at Figma. I'd say the other big thing that I kind of already mentioned is the type of work that we take on. So about 3 years ago, I started the rapid research function. There was a few reasons why. One being, I always myself as an IC just love doing quick hit kind of research. Like, hey, this designer is swirling. Like, we can get an answer much faster than like waiting for the next design crit. So I was constantly inserting myself to just run like quick and dirty research studies and seeing the immediate impact it would have on like what they ended up building, shipping, and then seeing the data right thereafter. And so that's where I started the team, and just saw like, pre-AI, Figma has always moved so incredibly fast. And so back to my decision tempo, phrasing is really just trying to keep up, and making sure that the teams are getting what they need at the right moments, as well as like keeping an eye across horizontally versus being an embedded research team. So that has also been a huge change, I'd say, to the way even the rest of the research team functions, in terms of like the way we scope out our projects. So we scope out every project to make sure we're answering the right questions, and that inherently will increase your impact as a research team for sure. I think for the start, I think a lot of the researchers were a little hesitant of like, you're telling me what I need to work on. You're kind of scoping the work for me. But then a few projects later, they've all started to realize like how important that actually is. And it's really just like a lot of it, sometimes a visibility, like us as managers, we just have a different lens than boots on the ground. And it works tops up and bottoms up as well. But it helps in that prioritization for sure. It's been a journey, 6 years.
Yeah. It's very inspirational to hear, because I think a lot of research teams and researchers would love to be in a position like that. And a lot of the questions I'm even seeing in the chat are around collaboration, building trust with these stakeholders, things that you've been honing for years, and building up internally. So yeah, it's really cool to see how much you've been able to accomplish.
Thanks, Lauren.
All right. Well, on that question of collaboration, there's another. Yeah,
I love this one.
Submission here. Yes. So I'll read it quickly. How do you approach not overstepping with design recommendations? And I think this goes back to even the idea that you were talking about before, where now researchers can even make quick designs and prototype stuff. So how do we try that balance?
It is a mandate on our research team we deliver recommendations first, and then follow with the insights and the more observational data to come. And that's just because, again, the rate at which we're moving, we can't expect our teams to kind of read between the lines of what they should or shouldn't do. We have to have a point of view ourselves. There's insights and there's intuition. And the more you build up your insights, the more intuitive you become. And a lot of times, because we're researchers, we're the closest to our customer base and hearing their pain points and what to do, we should be voicing those. And so, I think earlier on, even at Figma, I was like, insights. Like, we can't just rely on intuition. And I remember somebody asked me once, like, well, what have you shipped that didn't have research that was a total flop? And I was like, but it's so true. Not everything needs research, but everything does need a clear point of view once we touch it. And so that's the real kind of provocation, but mandate we have. And of course, we work with our teams. They're, even for rapid research where they're floating across the entire business, they're still deeply connected when they're working on those teams with the designer. And a lot of times too, the designer might have already started thinking about the recommendations and started to design some mocks up. And so we for sure loop those into our presentations to even just show the team status of where they're at in their thinking. But I'm very bullish on this. I think all of us as trained researchers, like, we're so taught to thread that line very closely. And I think the shift that I've seen at Figma is huge, where the designers now expect that. And of course, it's, sometimes what we've designed goes verbatim, but it's still fewer far from between. It's really just a really clear starting point for the designer to do.
That is fantastic. Yeah, it's so great. And yeah, the chat is blown up about this. I think it's really refreshing to hear researchers talk about recommendations and owning that and owning the outcome and being a core part of these decisions, because you built that intuition. You're the one that's closest to the customer. That's exactly it, and that's the special sauce of a researcher. So it's really cool to see you being able to use that, and now that's the norm and expectation, because it really works at a company like Figma. Amazing. I feel like we're getting a real peek under the hood. What's going on? All right, one more question on collaboration here. How do you overcome the loudest voice dilemma in meetings where dominant speakers take up all the airtime and monopolize decisions?
Am I taking up all the airtime?
No.
Wow, this is a great question. I want to give like a couple angles. There is AI tooling now in your meetings that can help with this, where it'll share, percentage of people speaking. So I think that's a great resource, either yourself, if you're cognizant of yourself taking a lot of time in meetings, or if there's somebody that you're working with where there might be a bit of a struggle there. It's straight up data to use. So use that in your favor. I think as a manager, it is my responsibility, and I hope other managers feel this way too, that when that happens and the voice in the room that should be heard is not being heard, it's our job to surface that. And I'm always a believer in giving the feedback right in the moment as well. I think there's kind of a couple different levers, but any thoughts from you, Peggy?
I think from an IC's perspective, definitely talk to your manager if this is something you are dealing with. But one thing I do really love about our team is how open and honest everyone is. So I never hesitate not that I have run into issues like that, but let's say hypothetically, I'm working with someone and we're maybe co-presenting something in a meeting, and that person is taking a lot of time, right? Like being very loud about this. I wouldn't hesitate to just have a very candid conversation with them and maybe strategize how we, for the next call that we're doing together, how we can frame the problem so that, both of our contributions are very clear and we're able to help with our career too, leveraging that call. So it helps both of us. But I think having a very candid conversation is definitely the way to start.
I think a couple more tactical examples that just come to mind. Async share before a synchronous meeting can also help as well. If you're using a tool like FigJam, that I've noticed to be really helpful, of straight up being like, okay, here's where everybody gets to share. And then you as a facilitator, or whoever the facilitator is, should help drive a lot of that balance in the room. Another thing, if you're in a meeting room, physically, like we are, as I've facilitated in the past, I will literally just stand behind the person who might be taking up a lot of the airtime and try to redirect everyone else in that way. That seems to be a really small win. But I think the biggest thing is async share helps a lot.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, this has been so amazing. I can't believe we're already almost done. In our last minute here, would love to end with each of your quick thoughts. I can share one of mine too on what is one thing you are most optimistic or excited about with the future?
I can start.
Go for it.
I think, again, like Christa mentioned, we're really, really bullish on AI workflows. I think it gives us so much space and opportunity to think about where we can grow in our career. So, one thing I'm really excited about, and does that answer your question, Oren? I'm just like all over the
Totally.
place. Something I'm really excited about is back to the topic of using AI. I am not just using AI to build stuff internally. I'm using AI to learn and up level kind of my skill set. So one thing that happened like 2 months ago was that I got to present in front of a group of 20 engineers for the first time, an engineering design doc, because I went through a process of brainstorming with AI, come up with a design doc. This was not possible before, like five years ago when I was like in a very traditional TPM job, right? Like I was always the facilitator, I was a coordinator. But I think just very excited about where AI is taking us. Definitely don't be scared and embrace this wave of AI technology and think about how to leverage it to up-level your career.
I think for me is like what's kept me at Figma for so long, many reasons, but one is I've just been on my toes this whole time. We've launched so many new products. We have so many different customer target audiences now where it just doesn't feel like we're answering the same thing over and over. And I think this new era of AI, we're seeing a shift in individual productivity to being a lot more collaboration. Like, so the question used to be, can my team use AI? Can anybody on my team use AI? And now it's, can my team use AI with it in the room altogether? And it's less about, can I 10x one individual? It's more about, can I 10x the outcome of the team? And so that's where I'm like on the edge of my seat. Who knows what's next? I literally was gone for 4 weeks and the team coded. So, you just kind of have to like brace yourself and just, trust instincts and one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
Not a fun answer, but it's real.
No, it is real. I love it. And yeah, I think the piece that's really exciting is the collaboration. It's not that people are going to go into a silo and then all of a sudden, output a million times more just as an individual. It's really about how to architect the right team and enable that team with the right infrastructure. You were talking about Peggy before, and the right goals, and then really anything is possible, especially if teams are staying close to users and customers and really listening and building with them and automating all the boring stuff on the other side, but keeping
exactly.
Exactly. Awesome.
All right.
Thank you
so much
for having us.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
This has been a blast. The audience has loved it. There's already an encore call, part 2. Ask. So,
wonderful.
All right. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, everyone, so much.
Thank you all. Thanks for joining.
Best.
Hey, bye.
Bye.